Good morning. You're getting me raw and unfiltered this morning. So, the other day, I was trying to do some editing and on a video. And in order to store the video after I had edited it, I said I didn't have enough storage space. Anyway, long story short, I ended up deleting a lot of stuff that I was planning on sharing here. Anyway, it happened. It's done. So one of the things that I was going to share with you is my the aliens among us, my testimony. At least one of the abductions that I remember. So let's just get into that. It's just going to be a two-parter because I also shared an explanation that I believe now to this day that like new things have dawned on me. So it began the abduction that I can remember parts of when I was 10. So I think it happened more times than that, but this is the one time that I actually woke up during levitating. But I don't know if I really was or not. I think it might have been my astral self. So anyway, but I was literally physically abducted. I just think that I was astral traveling at the same time, or was coaxed out of my body type thing. And I think I remember that. And still being able to see in the 3D because I was actually coming back into my body type thing. So what had happened was I went to bed in my upstairs bedroom, and we lived in this old farmhouse in Hillsdale, Michigan. And I remember, calling my cat upstairs that night, because I did every night. And he slept with me. Big old Siamese named Zeke. So yeah, I went to bed in my bed and woke up at sometime in the middle of the night, and I knew I was like in the air, and I couldn't move. I had sleep paralysis, but I could tell that I was in the air, and I could see out of the corner of my eye, even though I couldn't move my head, that I could see myself in the mirror that was above our couch in the living room. If I can find a picture of a couch with a mirror, I will show you. I'll insert it here. The mirror was horizontal, but it was up, pretty high on the wall behind the couch, and it was a long, it was probably meant to stand up or whatever, but my mom put it on the wall behind the couch, running parallel to the couch, but horizontal to the floor. So, and I could see myself in it, and I was like stiff as a board, lying flat. Like that game that, light as a feather, stiff as a board. It was like that. I was levitating, but I couldn't move. And I'm like, what the heck? And you wonder if you're dreaming. Obviously, I didn't think I didn't wonder that at the time. I just, I'm awake and what the heck's going on? So I feel myself being eased onto the couch. And at this time, I'm not afraid, until I'm trying to open my eyes, like fully and move my head, and I can't, but I'm looking down, because I'm laying on the couch, but I'm looking like this, and I can see into the foyer, which was off of the living room, and the front door was open. And it's dark in the house. The moonlight, I think, was filtering in because there was big picture window in the living room, and then windows in the foyer. I could see into the foyer, and I looked and saw that the front door was open. And that's when I started to get afraid. I thought, somebody's in here. And then I see these 3 fingers come around the door, and it's pulling it, and I see the head peek around, and it's a little gray alien with the big almond eyes. And, he's not very tall, obviously. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe 3 feet tall. And these real long fingers, and he peeks his head around, and he goes, and like, I think in that moment I thought, well, he doesn't want to harm me. You know what I mean? Why can't I move? I'm trying to talk, I'm trying to do all that, and I can't. It's like, you ever been so petrified you try to, like in your dreams, nothing? And that's how it was. And then he closed the door. And I remember thinking, oh, well, he doesn't want to hurt me, and he's gone, and it's over. And I gradually started moving my hands, started, moving around. And then I was just in shock. I had no blanket, no pillow, nothing. And I ended up going back to sleep. And, the next day I questioned it. Like, it had to have been a dream, but why am I down here on the couch? Even my mom asked, what are you doing down here on the couch? No blanket, no pillow, nothing. It's like, I don't know. I was abducted by aliens, Mom, and just decided to stay downstairs, I didn't say nothing. I was just like, I don't know. I must have got up in the middle of the night somehow. It was just one of those things. And I'm going to put pictures in here also. Like, I'm not sure if it was at that time, because I honestly don't remember. But I had noticed that I had a mole on my ankle. And I remember noticing my mom had one. And I thought that was weird, like, oh, Mom's got one too, and especially as I got older, because it was one of those things I kept to myself because I didn't want people to think I was crazy. But I remember meeting this, he was older to me then, but he was a young man. He's not with us now. He's a lot older than I am. His name was Jeff, and Jeff told me that, he had been abducted. I think I might have been 15 or 16 at the time. So, I start putting 2 and 2 together. Wow, these stories are similar, And I'm convinced. What I am contemplating is the gray aliens, because so many people, you see stuff on social media, YouTube, of abductions, and then some of them even get actual footage, and that's the part that I find almost impossible. I think that the depictions of these gray aliens are extremely accurate because I saw one. And, so, do I think with all the, and even some of the older ones, I think, how were you able to get that? I have one in particular that I'm thinking of, is that Stan Romanek or something like that. And I did a little research on him, and he's now like on the sex offender list. And so I also think that, what is the possibility that some of these gray aliens aren't actually children? Maybe on the other side, ready to incarnate, waiting to incarnate. Do I think they might be biological, bioengineered entities created to help the large grays? Yes. Do I think that a lot of this is military? Yes, because with my recollection of that night, I think that what truly happened is that I was physically abducted, and I think they put me back on the couch physically, and I mean the military. I don't mean a spaceship or nothing like that. I mean the military. But I do believe that I astral projected at the time that this was happening. And I think that that was a lot of the reasons for certain abductions of children, because they were either trying to invoke that type of activity from you to see if you could do that. And that these gray beings are interdimensional, so they can see that. So they're working together to do that. Because I don't think, because, why would I kept thinking, how is it I go through the roof into this spaceship? That makes no sense to me. I think that my memory is playing tricks on me. I think that I astral projected, but I was literally abducted physically. But what I'm remembering is the astral projection part. You know what I mean? Yeah. So how people are getting footage of the grays, I'm not sure, because I think they're part of the astral projection. Now, these are just, theories that are ruminating. The more that I know, the more that I can calculate a true experience or remembrance of what happened. Because, in Stan's, these children keep calling him daddy or father or whatever. Yeah, I and plus I've, there's just some things as you get older that just dawn on you and they make sense, like people you have in your life. That they were either meant to be your child, or you just know them because of things that happen on the other side, remembering things, the other side. Yeah. So I believe in, hybridination. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I believe that, we're messed with, and I think that the military, and when I say military, I say that loosely too, because I don't think that the military is directly involved. I think that there was a military or a government type group, something that was formed specifically to help with them. I don't think it was like you go into the military and that's part of it. No, I think this was something that was totally separate, secret, and it's just that, that term is loosely, like if you signed up for it, you were, either picked to be, okay, you're going to be a part of this secret thing, So, yeah, it happened to my daughter Faith, and her experience was similar, but she felt like something actually was sitting on her chest. And so I do think that the part that we remember is while we are in the astral plane, we remember these things. And but the actual abduction, I think, is real. She has a mark on her. And I think maybe it might be some type of tracker. Mine was taken out at the age of 40. And what I remember about that night is I'm laying in bed with my other half, Bob, and my cat, Dee, is laying on my hip. And at some point in the night, I guess I had started moaning and like I was in pain. And my cat, who was extremely gentle and just, you know what I mean, just never would have bit me for any reason. She never bit me ever in my whole life. She bit me on my thigh to wake me up. And it did. It woke me right up. I'm like, what the heck? Why in the heck? And Bob said, I don't know. He was groggy. You were moaning. And I got up and I went to the bathroom. And where I had that mole, whatever that thing was in my leg, was like burning a little bit. And I, sitting on the throne, and I reach down and I feel it and I pull my hand up and there's blood on it. I'm like, what? Because I had been dreaming about another abduction. This time I had been dreaming about it. And I look down and there is a little tiny spot where in the center of it where there was blood. And it was like even now, I can't really feel it. I can only see it. Like there's a tiny little scar there where it used to be like elevated. It was like an actual mole. You could feel it. All I'd have to do was reach down and I could feel it, Now you can't. So whatever was in there was taken out and there was a little like blood coming out of it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm sitting there in the bathroom thinking, so you came to get, you got it? You got everything you need now, Yeah. I went back to bed. My theory is that they are very, or they've got a lot of answers. I don't think it happens as much now. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me that's not experiencing these things, but I still astral travel, that's for sure. And I go to the other side when I do. Well, not all the time. Sometimes I go other places. I'm just saying, in my astral travels, I will go to the next plane of existence, you know what I mean, when you die. I've been there a few times. But I've also just been to different worlds, it feels like, where, again, I've talked about it before, where there's winged creatures, winged people, aliens, interdimensional type beings, but they fly. I can fly. Obviously, I'm flying. Anyway. So I think that they are very interested, or were, in that. And I think that, it's kind of coincides with the stuff that we're hearing about that GATE program. I had a lot of psychic events. I think my sister too. Obviously, my daughter Faith, very psychic. My mom, oh yeah, it definitely runs in our family. So I could see them, singling children out that have these abilities. And children are a lot easier to invoke fear and whatever it is to, sleep paralysis. Now, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't happen like it did when I was a kid, and it happened all the time when I was a kid. So I could see them being very interested in something like that. And, the offhanded information that we find on the internet does not truly describe what that is, in my opinion, because they just want to explain it away with some type of scientific answer. And if you've ever experienced it, it's horseshit. It's horseshit because, we do have like the whole theory that when you die, or it's not really a theory, it says that the DMT fills the, and you're in like a dream state. And then people talk about what happens after that. Well, I'm convinced that we have an astral body. Whatever it is, it's a light body. And it does leave the physical body. I think there's, enough things that have convinced me of that. So once the body dies, I'm convinced that the light body, the part of you that has no flesh and that is very much attached to the consciousness, is the consciousness, but it's an astral projection of our physical self that can be anything that you want it to be, really. Maybe it does have a true form, but I think that it is, energy and much more. I think that they're very interested in that. That's what they're interested in. And if, you can't really just say, oh, I'm going to study our souls and get funding, right? And you can't be open about it because, it's really hard to prove something like that. So, yeah, I just have no doubt that shit is done under the guise of secrecy. And, I think that spiritual knowledge tells the story, or, esoteric scriptures and books that, used to be secret things, and now pretty much anyone can get their hands on that type of material. A lot of stuff gets lost in translation, but when you gauge it against your own experiences, and if you're open to certain things like that, other things make more sense when you read them. So yeah, that is part of some of my experiences with the aliens among us. I think we are the aliens, but I think that like the things that have been reverse engineered and stuff like that, I have no doubt that there's portals in the middle of the earth, and that there are other beings that aren't quite human that come here. But I think that the earth has been here for a long, long time, and I think that even the ancient texts say that, that the earth was kind of like a starport, for many different types of races. And we see it in nature all the time, that creatures crossbreed and things evolve from that. Yeah. We are evolving in other ways, mainly because of manipulation on our part. But I just, I don't have any answers. I have lots of speculations, and I'm always open to possibilities, because I've seen things change in the last, few years that have just blown my mind. And because of my own experiences, I know that pretty much anything's possible. So, yeah, now I'm just rambling. There will be a part 2 because I want to do the tarot spread for the aliens among us. Maybe get some more answers, with my subconscious that is always awake and notices everything. So I want to say thank you for humoring me this morning in my authenticity, as far as like no makeup, because honestly, I don't really care for makeup. You're getting me raw, getting all the wrinkles, and I haven't brushed my teeth yet. Ugh. Anyway, so, all right. I love you guys, and thank you for being here.